What's up, everybody? I'm back with another episode of the Keep Going podcast. Today's guest is Wyatt Poindexter, managing partner of the agency Oklahoma. With nearly 3 decades of experience in luxury real estate, Wyatt has earned a reputation as one of Oklahoma's most respected and accomplished real estate professionals. He leads with a steadfast commitment to excellence, integrity, and innovation, bringing a global brand and next-generation marketing strategies to the Oklahoma market. He's a family man, a loving father, a rock and roll memorabilia collector, outdoor enthusiast. He's just a wonderful human being. In this episode, we discuss an awesome story of how he even got his first luxury real estate opportunity, what his journey has been like, all the steps, consistency, dedication, and the basics that he really dove deep into at the beginning to really create an amazing journey for himself through real estate, life, and much more. It was such a joy to get to sit down with him, learn a little more about his story, but also see why and how he's such a great human being. He was a wealth of knowledge, care, and trust, and I'm so happy we got to share this episode together. Hope you all enjoy this episode. As always, keep going. Thank you, Wyatt.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for letting me in this place, man.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to do it.
It's we've talked a little bit since you've showed me around the house, but it's been exciting where the podcast has gone because I get moments like this. And meeting you, I would have not thought I would have walked into this amazing room full of like hundreds of guitars. So just to be in your space and get to learn a little bit about your personality and everything, it's really nice for me. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
To learn a little bit about you before we dive into all the other fun stuff, are you from Oklahoma originally?
Born and raised Oklahoma City.
Okay.
1970. So I've been here my whole life.
And you said Bethany?
Uh-huh. Yeah. I lived in Bethany for 20 years, grew up in Oklahoma City, went to different schools, private schools all over the state, and ended up here in Arcadia.
How long have you been here?
5 years now.
5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Quite a jump from Bethany as far as getting some space.
It was a big jump. The crime was getting really bad by our house. We could hear gunshots and all that. And it's funny, when we moved out here, I remember the kids goes, I can hear gunshots. And I'm like, well, that's actually Hunters, and that's the police facility down about a mile or two. So like, oh, okay.
I think so. I had told you I interviewed a guy that did pistol training.
Oh, yeah.
It was actually at that gun range.
Yeah.
The one that's right by here.
Yeah, it's not that far from here.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. But that's funny. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
And as far as real estate wise, did you start it quite a long time ago, or you been in the game for a long time? Or
I actually got in 1996. Wow. And then my father was a top producer at Keller Williams, and he started in 1989. And I think he was the second person hired on at Keller Williams.
The second?
Second. So
what?
So I was in pharmaceutical sales in Tulsa and quit and came back here, didn't know what I was going to do. And my dad said, I need help. Would you want to help me with real estate? And I said, yeah, I'll help you, but I am not getting into real estate. He said, okay, I just need help. So I helped him for a good year. And he said, why don't you get your license and you can help me with other things? So I said, yeah, I'll do that. So I got in there and got my license and started doing open houses and stuff for him. And this was back when, you don't know this, but we had MLS books that they delivered every week, and they look like a phone book. If you know what a phone book is.
Oh, I know what a phone book is. I'm not that young.
Yeah.
You may have started real estate when I was 4, but I do know what a phone book is.
So it was these huge books that I think they were delivered on Fridays, and you'd go through them. And I don't even remember pictures being in those books.
So there wasn't an online MLS. No. It was those phone books.
That's right. Yeah.
What's crazy too about that is that means like you had to work harder on finding homes for them to see.
Oh, it was so hard back then, because you get those books in. I would look through the list. Here's a 3-bed, 2-bath in Edmond at 1,500 square foot. I have a buyer in that range. So I'm going to print this out and mail it to them. So by the time they got that listing, it's probably might have been sold. And then I do remember when I had to show houses, I'd had to call a realtor. Hey, I want to show this house tomorrow at 2:00. They'd say, okay, we'll leave the key at the front desk. Just sign the thing to sign in saying you got the key, and then bring it back.
So you had to go to the MLS office?
I had to go to the real estate office, like if it was Remax
Oh,
or Churchill Brown or wherever. I had to go to their office, pick up the key, go show the house, bring back the key. And there's a few times I lost the keys. And unfortunately, I had to make copies for them. So it was
why
a
wouldn't they do
pain.
lock boxes?
We did have a few, but they're starting to kind of come in. We had like combination boxes. My dad got those. So that kind of changed. But in the very beginning, that's what I had to do.
That seems so strenuous, like making
Oh,
it so hard.
it was really hard.
What if you show 5 houses?
Well, it was very hard to sometimes. It might be over 2 days. You just never know.
So in a normal day, when you started out, would it only be like a house or two?
Yeah, I mean, you could do 3 or 4. It just depended on how many they wanted to see. You could kind of pile them in there. Yeah, some people did have lock boxes, some people didn't. So it was very difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
everything was difficult. We had fax machines, we had the pagers,
Yeah.
we had Nextel phones, which was like a walkie-talkie like phone.
Yeah.
My dad and I could talk back and forth. So we thought that was a game changer back then, but now it's like so next level with everything's fast.
Mm-hmm.
I love it now. Faxes was the worst thing ever, having to do those.
Yeah. And now, I mean, can you imagine if we were doing faxes for the amount of emails you and I send?
Oh,
Well, you a lot more than me, but just in general, it would be your fax machine would break
I know.
because it's like, and then there's 8 people on the chain.
That's
and,
right.
Oh my God.
Actually, I'm thinking back, I think the first few contracts that I did, I think they were 5 pages with carbon copies. So one went to the listing realtor, went to the buyer's realtor, went to the lender, went to the buyer, went to the seller. So you had all these copies. So you didn't like have originals, but they were carbon copies. So your hands would be all black, so it was a difficult time back then. We didn't know any better though. So that's just what we did.
Well, it's funny that you didn't want to do it and then you kind of went full-fledged.
Yeah.
Was it because you started closing deals or you're just like,
No, I joke about this a lot. I hold the record my first year in real estate because I made the least amount of money anybody could ever make. The check was actually $666 of all numbers.
right.
I thought maybe I'm not supposed to be in real estate.
That was what you made for the year?
That was it.
Wow.
And I had money saved
Right. From the sales.
I had $10,000 saved from my previous job. So I lived on that money for a good year. And I went all over the nation going to all these different conferences just to learn real estate. So I really didn't work it. I was just trying to learn it. So I went it was Mike Ferry back then. I know his son Tom Ferry's doing things now, but then they had the thing called Sweat Hogs and all this stuff. And I went to California, I went to Colorado, I went to New York, I went just different things trying to learn real estate.
The fact that you made $666 in a year of real estate is unreal. And that's why those percentages make sense when people start now and they're like, yeah, 85% of agents are going to quit in their first year.
Yeah.
Because you could have easily just been like, this
I
doesn't
know.
work.
And the next year I made 11,000 and I thought I have arrived.
Yeah. I mean, because you just lived off 10 for a year.
I know. And it was, it was a really big struggle for probably 4 or 5 years. My wife was a teacher and she was the breadwinner and she made $24,000 a year. We lived in a 900 square foot little shack home that I bought. My payment was $300 a month. And, it was tough. I mean, there was times, and I hate to say this, but there was times where I thought, I was in tears. I was like, I hate this job. I don't want to do real estate. And she was just like, we'll pray about it. We'll get through it. This is for you. You need to do this.
Why do you think it was for you? Like, why did she think that? Why did you think that?
I think she just saw the bigger picture. I just thought maybe she thought I would be great at it. And, I didn't know because it was such a struggle. You don't make money every month. There's times where there'd be 4 or 5 months where I never got a paycheck, and it was very hard. We didn't have any debt, which was great, but it was a really big struggle.
How did you deal with that? And I know everyone has a different perspective, but from a man's perspective where you're usually the provider and things like that, how did you balance getting payments over time? Because at first it freaked me out. And then it started to give me like a sense of confidence that you could make it work and it's okay that things come in chunks versus every 2 weeks and things.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that?
That was very hard too. Thankfully, my wife had a job where she was paid every month, so
the lights stayed on.
It did. And that really got us by. And, it's kind of funny to think back, even when we got married, our honeymoon, she paid for it because she's a saver and she saved all this money. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. So, I mean, she really got us through those first years, and she retired. She ended up retiring after I started getting going in real estate. So thankfully, I think I can't remember how long she did it, 7 or 8 years, maybe.
Man, the similarities between our stories is crazy. Like,
Really?
yeah, when I first started real estate, I was about a year and a half in, and I had started in new home sales, like I told you.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wasn't making any money because I wasn't selling. And then, your base pays like 400 every 2 weeks, and not 496, 400 in like
Yeah.
2018.
Yeah.
So my wife was the breadwinner, and she was like the reason we were able to survive that 2 years before I started to make any money. And she was able to stop working about 5 years ago.
Oh,
So for you
really?
to say that is so cool, because like it was her telling me I could do it that like kept me locked in when it was so hard, because I was like, yeah, but you're making 4 times as much money than me. And it wasn't a comparison, because as you can tell from our previous conversation in your kitchen, it wasn't like I felt less than.
Yeah.
It wasn't that type of thing. It was just like, dang, I really want to provide, and this is just so hard. But she stayed down with it, and it's crazy to think how fast it can change,
Oh, I know.
and how important a woman is to your journey. Like for you to say the best thing that ever happened to you, I thought like that wasn't as real when I would hear people say that.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I have been together, as far as dating and together, 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just would have never been the person I am. So to hear you say that is so motivational, because it's like, okay, you're on the right track.
Gosh, the right person in your life. I mean, she is truly everything to me. I mean, she's my therapist. She's helps me through so much. I mean, people think, oh, you sell these great homes, you make this money, you make this. And I'm like, man, it's not that. You don't see the back end stuff, what happens with repairs and problems and appraisals and everything that you have to navigate so much.
And people will be like, what do realtors do? And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I wish I could explain it to you, because it doesn't make sense just to hear it.
No,
it's like,
no.
I manage 19 people per transaction, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
10 people, 6 people. It's like, I'm literally the glue. So to hear you say that, like, yeah, people don't know the things you're having to go through between every single piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, they really don't. I remember a few years ago, I ran into a buddy. He's like, man, you're absolutely crushing it. Every time I go on social media, just sold, just sold, just sold. And I thought, man, that is not real. I said, that's the highlight of what happens, but getting there was brutal. You don't know what I had to go through. You don't know what I had to buy a refrigerator that broke, or I had to do this, and people don't realize how hard it really is.
And sold may not even be the end of it.
No.
It could sell 14 times.
I know. That's right. That's right.
So so I know you said it was a few years in. When did you start getting your feet under you and like creating some success on the real estate side?
Well, it was, my dad was just such a great trainer, and I went with him on listing appointments. I did open houses every single weekend for 3 years. And I just started learning how to talk to people and get better acquainted with people and build rapport with people. And that was really a blessing, because I didn't want to do that because it's the weekend. I want to go do stuff. But man, he was like, this is real estate. It's 24/7, 7 days a week, man. You gotta get out there and just crush it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you're going to have to do your time early. You can reap the rewards later. And I did cold calls my first year. I did 100 calls every day.
Wow.
And for me, I'm not that person, and I hated it. I remember after 8 months of it, I got a listing, and it was a $180,000 listing. And I thought, I can't believe I finally got a listing from all these calls. So that kind of helped me learn how to talk to people as well. And there was a lot of rejection. I mean,
that's probably the biggest thing with cold calls, is to be able to handle that rejection and just realize that you just keep going and go to the next call. But it is a skill to learn how to talk to people on the phone. It seems simple to say, but to call someone randomly and then have them talk to you for 5 minutes,
yeah,
that's a win.
It is.
Like,
it is.
People don't want to talk to anybody.
No, I know. And looking back, my dad was brilliant, because there was so much that I could do for him, but to fill that time, he had me do the cold calls. He had me do all this. And he was like, I told him one time, I said, you're like my Mr. Miyagi, because wax on, wax off. I'm doing this, but why am I doing this? This is brutal. And I get it now. I learned the business pretty quick,
That's so cool to learn from your dad too, in a business that has an amazing amount of avenues to get to where you want to go. Like real estate is so diverse. So to learn it from your dad and kind of get the game plan, but that was cool in itself. Probably brought you all closer, I would think.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And I was living with him at the time at 26. So it was like, he was a dictator and a dad. So it was pretty tough sometimes. He's like, you need to be at work 9:00. You can be done at 7. You know, it's like, okay, whatever you need me to do.
Man, the similarities are just crazy. I left my house at 26.
Oh, really?
Or 25-ish.
Oh, wow.
All my friends left at 18 and hit amazing struggles, but then pushed through.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't where I needed to be. And I remember leaving at 25 or 26 and thinking, you did it your way and it's working.
Yeah.
So it's just so wild to hear this from you.
Yeah.
That's been the coolest thing about interviewing people in general, but also men that are just a little older than you. I can't even tell how old you are because once you said 1970, I'm like, you look so young.
Oh, yeah. I'll be 55 in a few weeks. So.
Well, kudos to staying in shape. You look great.
Thank you.
But it's very refreshing to hear like similar journeys.
Yeah.
Especially in something that's so different.
Yeah. It's funny because I remember growing up, I hated my name. It's Wyatt Poindexter. I thought that's the goofiest name. And then you probably don't know this, but in the 80s, there was 2 movies that came out in the same year, I believe. It was Revenge of the Nerds and Weird Science. And so the main guy in Revenge of the Nerds, his name was Poindexter, and the main nerd in Weird Science was Wyatt. So whenever they do roll call at school, Wyatt Poindexter, and I dreaded raising my hand.
Here.
Yeah, I'm like, here. And people were like, that's not your name. And I'm like, actually it is. And my dad told me, he goes, someday you're going to love your name because it's different and it's unique. And he always told me, he said, make sure that you always treat people right. He said, a Tom Smith, that's just a normal name. A Wyatt Poindexter, they're going to remember that name. Mm-hmm. So always treat people right. Yeah. And he had so much integrity and character. That's what I modeled my whole career after, because it's great selling homes, but it's great when you really get to connect with people and they trust you on it. You know, I love that part of it.
Yeah. And well, you say remembering the name. And when I first started getting into real estate, like I said, I was in new home sales, so I was exposed to a lot of realtors. Mm-hmm. I just remember seeing the Poindexter name.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because once you see it, I mean, you're not going to forget that.
I know.
And then flash forward, 8 years, I'm sitting here with you in your man cave. Yeah. And it's just crazy to think of that. Like, I really did remember it just based off your name.
That's funny.
But to make you laugh, my bag's over there, but it says I'll be your huckleberry. And that's what I thought of when I saw Wyatt.
Oh, really?
Was Wyatt Earp. When he's like, and hell's coming with me. Yeah. Like that. That's what I think of.
That's funny.
That's
mom, cooler.
Yeah.
Weird Science and Revenge
So
of the
to me, Wyatt Earp is what I think.
Yeah, okay.
When I was growing up with my mom, there was like 2 or 3 movies we'd watch, and the 2 I'm remembering right now is Titanic and Tombstone.
Oh,
but we watched Tombstone back to back. So literally, when I was on my way here and I had that patch on my recording stuff,
yeah,
I was like, Wyatt Earp, man, I'm going to Wyatt Earp's house. With your dad, did he stay in real estate for a long time after he got you into it too, or did he pass the torch and move on?
Yeah, he actually. I'm trying to think back. I want to say he quit 2015.
How many years did he do it?
Well, from I think it's 1989 to 1990.
That's a long time.
It is.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was a machine. And at the time when he had a very successful water well business, and it was handed down from my grandfather. I think it was from the 1920s, 1930s. What's funny is the drilling company was called Wyatt and Poindexter Drilling Company back in the 30s. And Wyatt was my grandmother's maiden name. So that's how I got the name. But it was interesting because, I was going back to my name. I remember I was working with a guy and he said, we need to come up with a team name. This is, I was a solo agent forever. He said, why don't you just call it Wyatt Poindexter Group? And I thought, my gosh, I just don't know if I want to call it my name.
Yeah, that doesn't seem your style. You're like, am I that?
Yeah.
Am I that, what is that, cocky?
Like, yeah, I kind of struggled with it for a long time. Yeah. It ended up helping. I don't use it anymore because I'm with the agency now and I just want to use their name. But it took me a long time to kind of adjust to that.
What was the turning point for you mentally? Because I know physically you seem like a guy that makes a decision and handles it. Mm-hmm. But on the mental side, to like get over that weird feeling. What was
Yeah.
that like?
Yeah, I struggled with it for a long time. I remember telling my dad, I said, what do you think about Wyatt Poindexter Group? He's like, you remember when I told you, use your name because it's different and unique. He said, if you have your name out there, people are just going to know it's you. And it's funny because my partner, Wayne, told me one time, he said, I had a friend that told me, is that Wyatt Poindexter is actually a person? I thought it was just the name of a company.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is a lot of the times people never knew that I was with Keller Williams. They just thought I was Wyatt Poindexter Group Real Estate, but I was with Keller Williams, so.
You really created a brand.
Yeah. And it kind of happened by accident.
Right.
So I'm glad I did it. And it was fun for a while. But like I said in the beginning, I did not want to do it.
So you started in 96. When did stuff start changing as far as like going away from the phone books and the going to pick up the keys and things like that? When did that change?
I want to say it was late 90s, early 2000s. I'm guessing, but
so it got a little more similar to now around that time?
It did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was a lot of your success in the, once you started getting established after putting in the work, because people need to hear that, like door knocking, open houses, that boots on the ground stuff is like literally how your favorite or the person you look up to in your field, that's how they got there.
Yeah.
Like was by putting in that foundation.
And I did all that. The door knocking too, every weekend with my lender friend. We would hang up these things for an open house. I mean, and we were sweating and it was rough. And I was like, why am I doing this?
I was door knocking last year for some off-market stuff, looking to acquire some property. And it was snowing, and I was walking in this big parka, It wasn't pouring, but just flakes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm probably the only person doing this right now. But you have to do things that some people aren't willing to do. So that people need to hear it from you too.
Yeah.
Because you can talk about how hard it was to get to where you are, but to where you are now, like, you are so established and you've created such a brand for yourself by accident or on purpose. And to know you started the same way, that should be motivating for anybody that's brand new or someone that's maybe in a rut, because as you know, even someone that's successful in real estate, they can hit a rut and start questioning.
Oh, I know.
Like, is this even for me?
Oh,
I know I'm 5 years in and I've made X amount of dollars, but this is hard now. What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I remember Keller Williams from 96 to 2000. My dad and I talked about starting our own company. So we started Poindexter Real Estate in 2000, had it for 3 years and literally lost almost everything. And at the time I thought, all right, brand recognition is everything. No one knows who we are. It's just like Keller Williams, everybody knows that name.
Yep.
And I remember talking to my dad. I said, Dad, man, I am going backwards. He goes, well, I am too. And I said, what do you think about going back to Keller? He goes, let's do it. So we went back to Keller. First month, my business quadrupled. And I realized then, no matter where I go in real estate, I always want to be with a global recognized company. I don't want to be with something local. Nothing against that. It's just what I want, because the networking and the referrals I get from out of state, you don't get that a lot if you're independent.
No.
So that's why I went back, and I thought, my gosh, I had no idea. So I learned really quick. I will always be with a big name person or big name company.
And I know we're going to dive into some other stuff like more personal, but while we're on real estate, question I have for my own curiosity, were you always focused more at a certain point in that luxury side, or how did you transition to more of a luxury agent? Because when I talk to agents, they're like, well, I just want to do this, or I want to just be a luxury person, or I want to do this. I know it takes certain effort. What was it that made you like shift to focusing on that?
Yeah, this is a good one. It's, I'll never forget talking to my dad about this. I said, Dad, why don't you sell luxury homes? He goes, well, there's one person that does it and he's the very best and I can't compete with him. His name's Kermit Brown. And Kermit Brown is a great friend. And he's a legend in Oklahoma City. He was with Churchill Brown. So he was the guy that everybody uses, and everyone still uses. He's an awesome realtor. But I said, man, I really want to try. I just think it's fascinating. I think these houses they're neat, they're big, they have a lot of different amenities. And he said, man, he goes, I don't know how to break into it, but good luck. It's tough. So I started really thinking about it. I was like, how can I get into the luxury market? And I remember hearing about a house that was going to be put on the market. It was a luxury home. And this was before email and everything. So I went by his house, dropped off stuff at his house, mailed him stuff. he called me, said, listen, I've already got an agent. Stop calling me. It's borderline harassment at this point. I said, will you give me 5 minutes of your time personally just to come visit, and I'll stop bugging you? He goes, okay, come over. So I went over to his house, and I had talked to my wife about this, and we had a credit card. And I want to say our max was $2,500, and I just got it. And I told her, I said, if I get this listing, I'm going to spend $2,500 on this listing just to get my name out there. I said, how do you feel about that? And she said, yeah, that sounds like a great plan. So I go to the guy's house, and we talk, and showed him everything I was going to do, just listed cards, blah, 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 do all this stuff. He said, man, your presentation is great. He said, but you've just never sold a home like this, and I just can't use you. And I was devastated. And at the last minute,
How old were you then?
I was probably 30.
So yeah, that's tough.
It was. And I thought, gosh. I said, well, what would you think if I did it for free? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, I just want to show you that I'm capable of doing this. I know I can do it if you give me the opportunity. No one has ever given me the opportunity, and I want. And he looked at me kind of like, he was impressed. He said, I'll give you 30 days. I said, all right.
Damn. That's so tight.
I know. So the next day, I mean, I hit it. I spent all this money, had professional photos. This was kind of before anybody really did professional photos.
Oh.
I did the works, had an open house. And what's funny is I ended up selling the house to John Sabelich, who's Sabelich Prosthetics.
Okay.
Very, very known guy here. He's not with us anymore. I sold it to him.
And he had an agent?
No, he went through me. So yeah.
So it was free, and you got both sides.
Yeah, I got both sides, but still no commission, but I know.
Hey, for anybody listening, like, hear that. He missed out on like 50 grand more.
Oh, I know.
And did it for free. That is, bro, thank you for sharing that.
Well, the story actually gets better.
Oh, please do.
The guy was so impressed. I got to closing, and we have the settlement statements. We're looking over it, and they put the 6% on the settlement statement. And I looked at that number, and I thought, that's like a lottery number to me. Like, I've never,
if you remember,
I think it was 50 something.
Yeah.
Thought,
which is crazy.
I mean,
your wife was the breadwinner and she's making 24.
Oh, I know. I mean, this is double. And I looked at it and I thought, gosh, I said, hey, you need to remove that because I agreed to do this. And they said, actually, he called in and said, put the commission in there. And I literally was in tears. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I have to close my own mouth. My mouth was hanging.
I know.
That is insane.
So, what's funny? That one house and all the marketing I did single-handedly brought me, and I counted it years ago, it was like 65 or 68 homes that I got from that one deal.
68?
I was doing newspaper ads. I did magazine ads. I did just listed flyers all over like thousands of them. Wow. Just to get my name out there. I spent all that money, and I kept putting money back for marketing each time. And I just started building up. And that one opportunity is what did it, just to do it for free. And then the guy was gracious enough to just give me that money and that commission. And that's what I used for marketing. So it was a huge blessing. And it was a time too, where I'm a Christian, and, I'd never tithed. And my wife said, she was an avid tither. She said, you need to give 10% to the church. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I don't know what they're going to do with that money. She said, it doesn't matter what they do with it. You just do it. And I did it. And it was a big chunk of money.
Yeah, it's $5 or $6 grand.
Yeah. And I did it thinking, gosh, where is this going to go? And then doors start opening up like they'd never done before. And I thought, oh my gosh, God's got his hand all over this. And I've been tithing ever since. And that's I've had people ask, what's the number one thing of your success? 100% tithing.
Man, it is insane. You're like, this is a good one. And you start rolling into the story, but that is like, if God didn't have his hands on it, like, there's no other explanation.
No.
Because to say you do it for free and then come to the closing table and make more money than you all could make in 2 years on one transaction because you bet on yourself, like, that makes all this that you showed me today, everything I've seen just from the outside looking in, so much cooler.
Oh,
I already knew you were a good person because of the people we have mutual relationships with, but I have never heard a story like that.
Really?
Yeah. And like, My story is not near as cool when there were a lot of listings that I did for 1% or less when I was getting started, just trying to save them money to get my name out there and it working. Barely compares to what you did for that luxury one, but it is so cool to hear that. Like, man, when I first started on the investing side, I went to a wholesaler breakfast and there were two guys and they asked me how I was like getting my feet under me. And I was like, well, when I stopped worrying about like the money I was going to make from someone and just trying to do them right, more doors opened. And one guy was like, oh, that's awesome.
That's it.
And then one dude was like, but what about like paying bills?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that because it stuck with me because I was like, no, you need to keep just doing right by people. So to hear it from someone as established and at a level of success that you've achieved, that is like the coolest story you could have told me.
Oh, well, thanks.
Congrats to that.
Yeah.
And congrats to your freaking younger self believing in yourself. It
was
awesome.
bold because I'm not an outgoing person. My father was great salesman. He'd hear somebody talking about a house at his favorite Mexican restaurant. I remember him going over, hey, I heard you talking about a house. Here's my card. And he would have him a card. And one time the lady said, well, this is my realtor. And, well, if she doesn't work out, just give me a call. And I thought, oh, I'm never going to do that. So I would never do that. It's funny. I was going to go back to when he got in real estate. He would leave the house early in the morning. I didn't even know he was in real estate. I still thought he had his water wheel business, but he had stopped it because everything kind of went bad for the 80s. They lost a lot in the oil business and stuff. And so he would go downtown and ride the elevators all day long. And he told me this later. And I said, why did you do that? He said, he goes, I know how good I am at sales. If I can get in front of somebody for 30 seconds, I got them. And he said, in an elevator, I got them because they're trapped in there with me. And he was the number one producer that year.
What? Like, that's crazy.
It's crazy. But, he had a family to provide for.
Yeah.
So he grinded it out. He's not sitting at home crying. He's busting his butt getting out there to provide for his family. And that's what he did.
Yeah, you're locked in here for 30 seconds. You're going to hear my pitch.
I know.
How cool is that?
I know.
And then it bled over to you because then you went to that luxury listing after he said, hey, I don't know how to get into that field. And you're like, how do I create my own avenue?
Yeah.
I'll do it for free. But that was a moment you chose to do that because you didn't go in there saying you were going to do it for free. You sat down and you got told no. Just like when I was talking to you about when I got connected with Mike Hearn and it was a couple no's, same thing. You didn't take the no. You're like, well, what about this?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, I'll give you 30 days. And you could have still panicked. You're like, that's not enough time, especially for a luxury home. The days on market is this. You're like, got it. And then sold it and represented both sides.
Yeah.
And just because your heart was pure, you got that huge pay from that,
It was a gamble. Looking back, it was a big gamble, but it was like, I've got to do something different. You got to think outside the box. Now, I remember Mike Liddell, very successful oil guy here in Oklahoma City. He gave me a book called Purple Cow.
Yep.
And I read the book and I thought, man, I want to be the purple cow. You've seen brown cows. You've seen, different cows, but you've never seen a purple one. I want to be purple. I want to be different. I want to think outside the box. Yes. And when I read that book, I thought, man, I do. I want to get creative with this. So
that is so cool, man.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I would have not expected that. Like, especially because that's all I've seen from you since I'm 8 years in. All I ever saw was the luxury side.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, you would think it's unattainable in a sense.
Yeah.
Oh, those people got it because they created some connection and it paid off. You got it from the bottom.
Yeah.
Like that's motivating, not only for me, but for other people too. Like, yeah, or you can just put in the work.
That's right.
Like,
yeah,
instead of crying about it, like you said.
I want to say it was 10 or 11 years before I ever even sold the house over $1 million. So, it's this generation coming up, a lot of them are fascinated by the agency and a lot of them just call, I just got my license. I want to sell luxury homes. And I just pause. I'm like, I know what you see. I know you see the agency, you see these homes, you see them on TV, you see all this. That's not real reality. I said, you've got to grind it out here, Luxury homes in Oklahoma are, I say they're $1 million and up. In California, they're probably 5 or 6 million and up, So that's kind of the misconception of what reality TV has done too. It's just like, man, that stuff's not real. That's not.
Well, I mean, in Oklahoma, the average probably home, if you were to Google it, is probably in the 200,000s or
I think it's
something.
around 325,
325
Yeah,
now. So
something right around there.
even that is still low in comparison to even somewhere like Texas
Yeah.
or something like that, where even a starter home may be at 300.
I know.
So to have that as an average is crazy because it may cap some people.
Yeah.
Where they're like, I can't even do that. I think the most one I've sold, and I know we're not a numbers people, but just so you can get a perspective, I think the highest one I did was around 500,000.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a game changer for my mindset where I was like, oh, it doesn't matter if it's 50,000 or 500,000. You
No.
just do right by the person and you get it done.
That's right.
And it was a very motivating time because that one actually came from, we had bought a house in Norman, as an investment property. I'm with an investment team called Local Guy Buys Houses, and we had acquired it. When we went back to do our walkthrough, the ex-husband wanted to be there because the wife and the ex-husband were really close. They had been together like 40 years. So their divorce was probably because new chapters.
Yeah.
And he was there and he was like, I kind of like you, man. Can you come look at my house in Norman? And didn't tell me anything about it. And I was like, yeah. And he sent me the address. I pull up. It's a remodeled house on 10 acres or something. He's like, I want to sell it for around 500. I think we sold it for 488 or something. And I was like, okay, I can do it. Did the same thing. Like you said, just the works. And got it sold. And I was like, wow, like if I would have never just built rapport with this guy in the backyard, I wouldn't have been able to do this.
Yeah.
And it came from a beat up house in Norman that we were just buying because it needed repair and we were able to flip it.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear that from you, especially when you're at just a different level, you know?
Yeah.
And it's motivating to me, but I know it's to those people, especially those new ones that are thinking like, oh, well, I want to be luxury or I want to do this.
Yeah,
it's like, take the steps.
That's right. And a lot of the misconceptions is, man, I'm so intimidated by this luxury home. I'm like, well, don't be. It's just another house. Well, the people, they've got all this money. They expect all these things. Not really. These are people successful for a reason. They hire you because they want you to sell the home. They don't want to micromanage. Well, at least most of them don't. So they hire you to do the job. So most of the time, if I get a really large listing, they're just like, do your job. Okay, I will.
You see that through different studies and podcasts and all that, where they're like, yeah, that $100,000 client is way harder than that
all day long
$700,000
it really is
client.
It really is. Yeah, anymore, it's if I go on a listing appointment, they're interviewing me, I'm interviewing them. I don't tell them
because you pass on ones too, I'm sure.
Oh, a lot. This in the last year and a half, I bet I've 25% I didn't take.
That was just because the fit of the person.
Well, the expectations. I had one guy, he had his house listed for a year. He calls me and he goes, I want to get 300 more thousand because you're going to do the marketing. I thought, the best marketing in the world is not going to sell an overpriced home. Mm-hmm. So, those type, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to pass on that. And I had one just recently. The red flags were there and I took the listing anyways. I was like, gosh, this person's going to be difficult. And I spent all the money on the marketing already. And then halfway through, I said, hey, we got 5 showings this weekend. We're going to be out of town. We can't show it. I'm like, and then they call Monday. Why haven't we got any showings? I'm like, well, it needs to be seen. And finally I just said, you know what? I don't think we're a fit. Would you let me out? Well, do I have to pay you anything? Nope. I spent, I think it's $4,000. I said, no, you don't have anything. Just let me out of the listing. I just don't think we're fit. Okay. So I was out. And the stress level was not worth it.
No.
I'm just like, no, I don't need that person. I want somebody to hire me because they know I can sell the home, and that's it.
Yeah.
And not be on me about every single thing.
That's crazy.
I know.
Well, hey, moving into some, well, first, let me give you your flowers on that one last time. For sharing your real estate story, even though I know there's way more to talk about, like, I appreciate the openness about all those things. Because this is so cool to hear how someone that's so established did all the ground level stuff that's needed to be successful in any industry.
Yeah.
So for people to hear that is a big deal.
Well, thanks. It's, I'll be honest, I was 2.5 years ago beyond burnout. I wanted to quit. I hated it. I had a team, members on my team, just terrible people, manipulative, stealing business, lying, doing everything they can to just bury me. And they almost did. But when I got with the agency, it changed my life completely. And I mean, it really next level everything I've been looking for in a company. And I thought, this is what I need. I've got backing of the owner. I've got backing over here. We've got PR. We've got marketing. We've got everything I need to sell luxury homes now. And it's not just about luxury homes. We bring the luxury experience now to every home. And the agency provides that. I've never seen a company that's this tech driven and this driven to just find new ways to market and do things. It's every month. And that's been the biggest game changer of my career is the agency. I'll kind of close on that with the real estate
Yeah,
stuff.
please. No, I didn't want to miss that either because the agency is something people need to hear too.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you shedding light on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, as far as getting to know you a little more, let's start with the rock and roll.
Yeah.
Because I'm just very interested because I saw you. So when you were saying, here, take a look around, I'm going to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking around like, dude, look at all these guitars. And then you're like, here, let me show you something else. And we come in here and it's like a museum. What is the fascination with rock and roll? Like, why are we here with this today?
mean, kids were playing with their little toys and I played with my Star Wars figures, all that stuff, but I'll never forget my dad always listened to country music. Hank Williams Jr.,
Yep.
Earl Haggard. I mean, the great country.
The good stuff.
The great stuff. And he had an 8-track and I don't even know if you know what an 8-track is.
I know it is.
8-track cassette.
You're going to have to know I'm just a hair older.
Okay,
I'm still young.
Yeah.
I'm 33, but I do know these things.
Okay. So the 8-track he put in, I'll never forget. And it was Bob Seger, Night Moves.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sitting there in the truck and we were driving somewhere. I'm like, Dad, what is this? He goes, this is Bob Seger. I'm like, yeah, but the music. He goes, this is rock and roll. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I literally went everywhere with him. Dad, can I go with you today? Dad, can I go with you today? Why? I want to listen to Bob Seger. And that's when my fascination really started. And then I remember hearing Queen for the first time going, oh my gosh, listen to that guitar solo. I didn't even know if I called it guitar solo, but that's
is that what grabbed you as the guitarist? Because that's what always grabbed
me.
me.
Oh, absolutely. When I heard Brian May, the guitar player for Queen, playing, what was it? We Are the Champion. That News of the World album. And I remember getting that and I thought, I've never heard anything like this. And I was just so infatuated with it. I had to have more. Mm-hmm. And then I remember some TV show came on and this band called Kiss came on and I literally didn't breathe. I'm like,
oh shoot.
Cause I love superheroes and all this stuff, but I loved rock and roll music. And I watched them. I was like, that's a rock and roll band that looks like superheroes or horror people. I don't know, but I was so fascinated. He's breathing fire, doing all this stuff. I'm like, I got to get their record, So my mom ended up buying me one of the records and that's when everything opened up. That's when I heard about Van Halen. That's when I heard about all the different bands. So that is my number one passion, rock and roll.
Why is it so cool to hear a guitar sing like that? Or what they say, like, here, I'm going to make this guitar talk.
Oh, I know.
Like, it's crazy.
That's right. I remember, I can't remember if it had fast forward reverse on like 8 tracks, but I remember when I had the vinyl of News of the World, that Queen album, I remember bringing the needle back just to hear that guitar solo. And I did it over and over and over. And I thought, God, I love this music.
What was a game changer to me as well when I got older? Because when you're growing up, you're hearing it, like when you were talking about Rob Zombie and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like you hear it when you're growing up because you're with your parents. And I was born 92, so it was like probably peak Rob Zombie. But like I didn't know that was one of the highlights of these songs. Not just him, but other rock and roll style.
Yeah.
Like that solo is like just as important as the words. And I think the first ones that grabbed me were like Carlos Santana.
Oh yeah, of course.
For my age. And like when I told you my friend played guitar, he put me onto Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh yeah. He's
one
of the greatest.
Like hearing those, I just don't know why it's so magical to hear those guitars. Like,
I know.
Can you shed any light why it's so cool to
do? It's something about the sound. It's just cool. The sexiness of it. I don't know.
The personality. I don't know.
Drive, I loved, Kiss did some cool stuff, but when I heard Eddie Van Halen for the first time, I remember listening to You Really Got Me, that song. And I thought that is the best song that I bought Van Halen 1. And I remember this track called Eruption, and it's just Eddie playing his guitar all the way through. And I thought, that's not a guitar. I don't know what this is, but it's not a guitar. And then I found out it was. I'm like, how in the world did he do that? When I heard that, everything changed for me. Because I thought, all right, who else can play like this? So I started looking around. I'm like, there's nobody.
I'm going to pull my notes out so I can write down. Give me 3 when I pull these up of solos I should listen to when I leave here. Just so I can.
Of course, I love Eddie Van Halen's Eruption.
Okay.
And I loved his acoustic called Spanish Fly. And Stevie Ray Vaughan's probably Scuttlebutton, something like that. That's Scuttle. I want to say Scuttlebutton. I might get that wrong,
but I'll find it.
It's absolutely incredible. He plays it. It's more blues, but it's so fast that it doesn't sound real to me.
You'll appreciate this. So I went to an appointment in Hera one time, and it was for a property we were looking at buying. And just like when I walked in here and I could tell your passion for this, he was like, yeah, I have a passion for sound. He's like, this stereo system in my living room. And this is like a normal 3-bedroom, 1,500 square foot home. Nice home, but normal home. But his studio setup was like thousands of dollars in his living room. And he's like, no, this is high quality. And he was like, come here. He was like, sit right here. And it was like the chair that he positioned there.
Oh, yeah.
Because the noise hits you the best, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, my friend told me about this guy, Stevie Ray Vaughan. He's like, he's my favorite. He said, sit down. And he played, I think it was like Tin Cup Alley or something. And he's like, sit right there and close your eyes. And I've only known this guy for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And I sit there and he plays it. And I just had goosebumps the whole time because I could feel it. He's like, it's almost like you're there, huh?
Oh, yeah.
And it's a different type of passion. I don't know if you listen to them. Do you listen to Hermanos Gutierrez?
No, I don't even know who it is.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's not rock and roll. It's more Spanish style guitar. But they do only guitar. So they have all these albums. It's 2 brothers. And it's different than like rock and roll, but all their albums are guitar.
Oh, wow.
So you may check them out. It kind of gives you those New Mexico feels.
Yeah.
But I didn't know I loved it so much until I was exposed to it. And then I would meet people with the passion like yourself, like that random guy at an appointment and him saying, sit right here and feel this.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how it like gives you an energy almost.
No, I know. I would be friends with that guy because that's exactly what I like. When somebody sits me down in a chair and I hear a high-end audiophile vinyl and, amazing speakers, and I'm like, oh, I could literally sit there all day. That's my plan for upstairs is to do that. So that's what I want to
invite me back.
It'll be a chair with vinyl and records.
He literally dimmed the lights and was like, sit here, close your eyes. I
get that. I get it completely. I mean, I could literally sit there for hours and not move. That's how much I love music.
Is rock and roll the passion, but you like music in general?
Yeah, I like, I hate rap. I hate hip hop. Mm-hmm. Pop, 80s pop maybe. But I kind of stopped. I guess I'm at that age now. I kind of stopped listening to this stuff probably mid 90s because rock is, I hate to say it, I feel like it's dead. There's no new rock artists that have come out. I know Youngblood's coming out. He looks like he's going to be kind of a rock artist, which I hope. But like the last ones I can remember are like maybe Rage Against the Machine, Kings of Leon, Tool to this day is one of my all-time favorite bands, and they were 90s.
Yeah, I liked Kings of Leon.
Yeah, and grunge. I hated Nirvana. I love Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. But that's about the end. But, you hear music today and you don't hear guitar solos. You don't hear the rock stuff anymore. Mm-mm. So that's why I just keep going back, listening to the old stuff again.
Well, I know you were in love with rock and roll, but what started this insane collection? And it may be normal to you, but it kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, it's, I told you earlier, I wanted to go to concerts, didn't have the money. My dad said, get creative if you want to go to concerts. So me and a buddy came up with they're called fanzine magazines. So we do a fanzine for Motley Crue, a fanzine for U2, Kiss, Def Leppard, whoever. And we did tons of them. And we sent them to the artist. And I would say 75% responded. It was either a phone call or a letter. And I remember getting a call from this girl, Renata. She called, she goes, hey, this is Renata. And I'm like, yeah. she goes, Sammy wanted me to call you and say he's got backstage passes. And I'm like, Sammy who? She said, Sammy Hagar. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, he's got passes for you and tickets at the next Van Halen show. I'm like, are you kidding me? So that's kind of how it started. And then I started getting stuff signed by the artist because I just, like Sammy one time, I'll never forget this. I had like 50 records and he laughed and he goes, oh my gosh. So he signed the front, the back, pulled out the sleeve, signed everything. So I still have a lot of those, but that's what grew into this. I mean, I want to say it's 35, 36 years of collecting it. And I just started putting the passes with them, the ticket stubs, the guitar picks I got from the show, like just different displays.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Bon Jovi one there, those are like Bon Jovi's actual strings that they played with that black guitar.
What?
And that's a set list from Cheap Trick on the left. So just different things like that.
And then you said you drum as well?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not that great. I play a little bit.
Did you start that just because the love of rock and roll?
Yeah, I got a kit in 1979, a Ludwig set, and I played it. I'll never forget waiting for Quiet Riot's Come On Feel the Noise to come on, and I would run over my drums and play with it real quick because I didn't have that record. So
that is so cool, though.
Yeah.
You never know what people's passion is, and like,
no,
this
I know.
is obviously an impressive passion.
Yeah. Many years, been fun though. A lot of, like I said, it's each piece has a different crazy story to it. And I look at this room and go, man, there's so many stories behind all these different displays. It's just mind blowing.
What's not your favorite, because you're not going to have one favorite, but what's one that stands out to you out of all these, the ones by your office, all that?
It's probably not, I mean, I have some very expensive ones, but the one that probably means the most, I was in U2's fan club since 1985. And I remember it was like 2006 or 7. They sent me an email. They said, you've been selected to come meet U2 in New York for their book signing.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh. And I had met them before, but I remember calling my wife. I said, hey, we got an invitation to go to U2's book signing. She goes, that's awesome. Let's go. I said, well, it's tomorrow in New York. She goes, okay, let's go. So we flew out to New York. I went to the book signing and met U2 and got them to sign my book. It's back there. And I took a picture and showed it to Bono. And I said, this is the last time you guys have come to Oklahoma. It was 1983. And this was like 2006 or 7. And he looked at the photo and he laughed. He goes, all right, we're coming back to Oklahoma City. And he kind of laughed about it. They ended up coming and he signed my book to Wyatt, The Fish of Oklahoma. And I went back to him. I said, what's the Fish of Oklahoma? And he kind of laughed. He goes, well, I remember going on Route 66, somewhere off the road, there's this big blue whale. And I'm like, that's the whale of Catoosa. So that's what they remember when they were doing their tour. So that's what he put, the Fish of Oklahoma.
And then say full circle, we're right off 66 now.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That is crazy. Like, something that also has been a similarity in your stories is not waiting on like the perfect way or permission or anything like that and doing things for free.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which seems counterintuitive to the level of success you're at now. And I will say this too. The thing I've noticed the most about you being with you today is the peace. And I know that's more important than anything. So see your peace means a lot. It gives me a lot of motivation, but it also gives me a lot to like look up to and forward to.
Oh yeah.
So I do sense that from you. Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you.
But as far as your story, like the fanzine, free. The $1 million listing, free.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, you haven't been to Oklahoma. So it's like, just because you didn't wait on permission and you're just like, no, I'm just going to do it. Because if I was interviewing someone yesterday and he said, my thing that I love to do is finding the doers of the world. The 1% that just do and don't wait on anyone. He's like, you with the podcast, you just did it.
Yeah.
You with the fanzine just did it. You with the luxury listing. I want to get into it. Well, I don't know how. Well, I do. It's just doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's so cool that you can implement that into different areas of your life and be paid back for it. Not that you did it for the paid back, you know,
Yeah.
but you got that karma. You got that God-given gift because you did it pure.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yes,
that's
sir.
Really nice.
So just learning a little more. As far as you, since you talk so highly of your wife and things, do you have kids as well? Do you have a
I do.
family here?
I have Cameron, he's 19, and my daughter Katie, she's 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little younger.
Yeah, a
That's
little bit.
nice. They
Teens
got
are
you when
fun.
you're a little
I'm just
established.
kidding.
You said what?
Teens are fun. No.
My dad's your age. Well, he's 56, so
Yeah.
not trying to age you.
Yeah.
But my dad's 56, and he restarted late, so he has a 13-year-old,
Oh, wow.
and it's whooping his butt.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, she just came home Friday. I stayed the night with him because we were going dove hunting Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And she showed up from a football game, 13, just grown up little teenager, and he's like, she wears me out, boy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's funny too when we go to situations whether we're going hunting or going to some function, and they see her, and a lot of people only know him with her. So
Oh, yeah.
like, yeah, Tyler, he has this young daughter, and then they see me and they're like, who are you? I'm like, his son. They're like we went hunting one time, and they're like, I thought he had like a young son, not a grown ass man. I'm like, yeah, it's just there's levels to this ladder of our lineage, but it's always funny to see how he parents at that. So I kind of think it's probably best that you had him at that time because they got you at a more established time.
And back to kind of it's a great story. We could go over that some other time, but both of my kids were adopted, and we tried to have kids for 8 years, and it was just unexplained. We couldn't figure out, and an opportunity came up to adopt Cameron and Katie, and we did. I mean,
You can feel free to explore.
it was an amazing time because I remember my mom had just passed away, and I was very bitter, and we wanted to adopt Cameron and Katie, and they told us that it wasn't going to work out, and so we were pretty crushed. And then, like I said, my mom died, and we had one last DHS class to go to, and Angie was going. I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going. And I remember going in the bathroom, and I had this cross in my bathroom, and it had the "What Would Jesus Do" little wristband. It was my mom's.
Oh, shit.
And I saw that, and I looked at it. Right when I looked at it, I'm like, Angie, hang on, I'm going. So if we wouldn't have gone to that meeting that day, we wouldn't have got them. They ended up calling us later, said, hey, are you guys still interested in Cameron and Katie? And I was at a listening appointment in Yukon, 4:00. And we said, yeah. They said, okay, we'll bring them at 6. We were like, what do you mean 6? Like 6:00 today? Yeah. So they showed up at our house at 6:00 that day. And my wife, we were in a life group. My wife had called the life group and said, hey, we're getting Cameron and Katie. And it was crazy. And everybody poured into our house. We had everything because we didn't have anything. We didn't have a diaper, a crib, toys. We didn't have anything.
How old were they when you adopted them?
Cameron was almost 4 and Katie was not quite 1 yet.
Oh my gosh.
So I'll never forget sitting in the living room. Here they are. You know, they had a little trash bag, and Katie came in, and I was just like, man, I teared up. I was like, this is unbelievable. I just lost my mom 2 weeks ago, and
dang,
sadly, all she wanted to be was a grandmother. She never got to meet him, which is a real bummer because she was a great woman. But yeah, that's part of our story, and it was such a neat blessing. And you know, it drives me crazy. You did so much for these kids. No, they did it for us. You know, I feel like they adopted us.
What was it like when you first got them, like becoming instant parents?
You know, I was 40. So I'm set in my ways. You know, I'll never forget. It's funny because we had all these people at the house when they came over. And we took this picture, and then everyone left, and here they are. So we put them to bed, and then the next morning, you know, I get up. Angie was still asleep. I get up kind of early, and they were both up. And I'm like, and I really said, I can't believe I said this. Do you need to go outside? Like, they're not dogs. You need some coffee? I thought, what am I doing?
You asked them if they needed coffee, and they were 4?
Coffee, and I need to let them outside to go to the bathroom. So my wife obviously was great at it. I was not a great dad in the beginning.
You guys need some?
Yeah. You guys eat? What's up? So yeah, it was a learning curve having 2 kids kind of at the same time, you know, 2 car seats, 2 everything. I mean, it was quite the adjustment, but it was a good adjustment.
What if they taught you along the way? I know multiple things, but like, how did they expand like your capacity to love? Like, what did they do?
Well, you know, I'll never forget when our first Christmas, you know, and Cameron the year before had just got a blanket, and that was it for Christmas. So I bought a crap ton of toys. I mean, I loaded it up. It was embarrassing. And I remember Christmas morning, Cameron opens up one gift and he's like, thank you so much. I love it. I'm like, well, this is yours. He goes, well, this is all I need. And I thought, oh man, I really screwed up.
Oh, yeah.
So, I was just trying to do the right thing, but I thought, gosh, I get it now,
He just needs some love.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are the names again?
Cameron and Katie.
Cameron and Katie. I guess not as nerdy as Wyatt Poindexter, but they're Cameron Poindexter.
Yeah. Cameron has my name. He's Cameron Wyatt Poindexter.
There we go.
So, yeah.
That's cool. So, sorry, Cameron.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after that, like when he said that, was that a moment where you're like, oh, they just need love. It's not material.
Yeah. But I was thinking, I'm new to this. My mom gave us, me and my brother, everything. We were so spoiled. It was ridiculous. But I wanted to do that for them. And that's not the right thing to do. And I kind of regret doing that. But you learn, there's no real great manual for being a parent, especially with this generation, with the phones and social media and everything else. I wish it never existed, honestly.
I think that's so cool that, like, it seems like God has had his hand on you the whole time with providing you opportunities that he knows you may not be technically all the way ready for, but you can handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the rock and roll, the real estate, but the fatherhood, I'm sure that's the thing that means the most to you.
It is. And, one of the funny things is, I never learned how to play guitar, and it's the biggest regret of my life. And when Cameron was 5, I said, you're going to play guitar. And he didn't know how hard it was. I got him a little bitty guitar. I got him some lessons. And he's a shredder.
Now?
Oh, I mean, even back then.
Do you cry when he just goes hard on it? Like, because it's emotional, like when someone's just ripping it.
Oh, yeah. There's been times I'd hear in the room, I'm like, oh, he's listening to AC/DC or Def Leppard. And I'm like, oh, wait, no, he's playing that. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that's goosebumps.
I know. And I remember missing a show. I can't remember. I think it was a U2 concert. Yeah, it was U2. If something happened, I couldn't go to this special U2 show. I was really bummed. And I remember he goes, Dad, come in here. I was like, all right, what are you doing? He said, oh, I'm going to do a U2 concert for you. I'm like, oh, wait, what? And so he did Where the Streets Have No Name, and he do Bad. And I thought, this is much better than going to a U2 show. And he nailed it. He was like 7 at the time. Little bitty, I mean, he has his giant guitar, little bitty fingers. And I thought, my gosh, I know that's that song,
That is so cool. Like, it was like paying you back in a way.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
I'll give you this gift.
Yeah, it was. And he's really, really good. So
now they're how old? 19 and 16?
He's 19 and she's 16. Yeah.
What's it like having a little grown man?
Great and difficult.
Yeah. But I'm sure he's learned so much from you.
Oh, yeah.
Because if he's anything like you from the parenting and the character that you've given him, I mean, they can be nothing but great. I'm sure they can be difficult like any child, but
yeah,
what a way to save them.
I know.
And I know you probably are like any other successful, loving man that you're like, yeah, I just did what needed to be done.
Yeah.
But, you really changed their whole trajectory.
Well, also I'm never going to push real estate on them. I'm never going to push anything on them. I want to see what they want to do. I have opportunities for them to maybe take over the agency one day. I don't know. If they wanted to do that, I would let them do it. But if they don't, that's fine with me. I want them to find their own niche in life, not just real estate. Everyone thinks Cameron and Katie, they're just going to get real estate. Well, if they want to, I'm not going to force it. I would like to see it, but can't control that.
Well, you had spoke on it earlier. I wanted to touch on it with your wife and you saying, she's the best thing that ever happened to you, the best choice you made and things. Can you speak a little bit on how that, or why and how that's so important to find the right person for you?
Oh my gosh. And I'll be brutally honest. We, early on, I remember talking to a pastor friend of mine, and he was talking about remaining pure until you're married. And I thought, I want to do this. And he said, I'm going to have a piece of paper. It's like a contract. You draft it up with God to remain pure until you get married. And I was like, yeah, just type it up. I'll sign it. He's like, no. You got to think about this. You got to pray about this. And I thought, okay, I'll do that. So a few days went by and I told him, I said, yeah, I want to do that. So I signed it. It was like a contract with God to remain pure. And then I met Angie. And the first thing we talked about, she said, hey, if you think we're going to have sex or do anything else before marriage, we are not dating. And I thought, she's the one. So, we were both pure when we got married. We dated for 10 years. We just had our 25th anniversary 2 months ago. So we've been together 35 years. And the blessing that God gave us because of that, it's staggering. And it doesn't happen this day and age very often. I mean, it's very rare. But that was a belief that I had because it was biblical. And I thought, I want to remain pure. And I remember, in the past, I remember bringing this girl home, and my mom saw her come in the front door. She's like, nope, she's not coming out our house. And I was so mad. I was like, Mom, this is the girl I want to date. She goes, no, you're not dating her. And she knew just by seeing her and her actions, and this girl's a wild girl. So it protected me, so it's having that pact with God to remain pure brought me the best person in my life. Wow. And it's really, and we'll never get divorced. We just have this pact with God and each other. I mean, we are one on everything.
35 years is crazy too, because you met in your 20s,
Well, we actually,
or you met early.
She was 15 and I was getting ready to be 18. So I'm a little bit older. Back then it sounds terrible, but now it doesn't matter as much. But I'll never forget my dad saying, why don't you date somebody from church? I'm like, there's not anybody I want to date from church except for that one Angie girl. And that was her. And my dad kind of planted a little seed, and we ended up dating. We went out 56 nights in a row.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was all based on biblical principles. That's how we wanted to live our life. And God blessed us, because of that.
Everything you say is new information to me, but it doesn't surprise me based on the feelings I get from being in your presence, and also what we talked about before when you're showing me around the house. None of this stuff is by accident.
Yeah.
That's amazing to hear.
Yeah, it is. Tithing's a big part of it, just for, just being true and putting God first in everything we do. And sometimes it could be hard. When I went through that transition, when I was leaving Keller Williams, I remember going, gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this new company, the agency. Very stressful. Dealing with the person that was with me, that was manipulative, the liar, everything, con artist. I was just like, I remember I do a cold plunge every morning. I was sitting in the cold plunge and I pray every morning in there, and I do my YouVersion Bible app. And that morning when I prayed, it was like I heard the word temporary. I'm like, temporary. What I'm feeling right now is temporary. The stress that I have is temporary. I'm healthy. I'm fine. Got a great family, got a great wife. I'm good. This is just a setback. God is going to show me something bigger than I ever imagined through this. I don't know what it is, but that's what happened. And I remember thinking, all right, God, I've given you 95%. I think I might have given you 99%. But the first time in my life at 53 years old, I'm going to give you 100%. We'll see what happens. 100%. And I did it. And it's not anything I wanted, but it's 10 times more than I ever thought I wanted. So he lined everything up in his perfect timing. So it's not by accident at all. It's not me. It's him leading,
Right.
And having the support of my incredible wife, too. She was a big part of that. She's a big part of me every day.
That is so moving.
Oh.
And the fact of the temporary, even this cold plunge, this 90 seconds or 30 or 3 minutes, it's temporary.
It is temporary. The pain sucks, but it's temporary,
Yeah. And just because we're in a similar field, sometimes, and it's something I've been working through now, even as what you would call maybe someone seasoned in the real estate field, is detachment with that.
Yeah.
Because it is stressful. But something I've been personally working on is not holding on to it.
Yeah.
And usually your business improves, you start to thrive a little more, and you start to be happier the more you detach from that.
You really do. It's, going back a little bit further, it really started with my pastor. He's a friend of mine, Craig Rochelle at Life Church. He had a book called Dangerous Prayers. And I was sitting right there in that massage chair reading that book, and it was about praying, praying to be tested like you've never been tested before. And I read the book and I got really scared. I thought, I know I'm going to do this prayer, but I'm very scared of what's going to happen. And it took me 2 weeks. I remember sitting down, I got on my knees right on that chair, and I got down and I said, Lord, please test me like I've never been tested. I want to grow closer to you, closer than I've ever grown to you. Let it happen. I'm willing to accept anything at this point. And I'm thinking, gosh, I hope my wife doesn't get in a car accident, or, you're thinking all this bad stuff, but I thought, I'm ready. In my 50s though, I wish I would have done it earlier, but I just wasn't mature enough spiritually. And the next day, a guy from our office at Keller Williams calls and tells me about allegations against one of my friends that's on my team, that I won't go into all that, but it was really, really bad. And it was the next day. And then it was 8 months of pure hell. That's when the temporary all kind of fell into place. I was like, this is temporary. I'm going to get through this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I know I'm leaving Keller Williams. This is not the place for me anymore. I don't know where I'm going. God's going to provide. And I mean, the agency opened up. My partner, Wayne Kirby, he's like-minded like me. We're the same person. He just has a really strong South Carolina accent. But it's really, everything lined up so perfect. And looking back, I'm just like, my gosh, I'm so glad I gave him 100%. Because if I wouldn't have had what I have right now. It has nothing to do with money. It's just peace of mind.
You're at a new level of peacefulness.
Yeah. It's God's blessed me in that way. And I'm so glad I did that dangerous prayer. That's a book. I mean, if you want to read a book that will really try you and make you go, okay, should I do this? I knew I was going to do it, but I just put it off because I thought, man, I'm scared, to be tested by God. Oh my gosh, that's scary. But I made it through it, and it was hard, but still we made it through it. And I remember I had shingles this year, the first year. I've never gone through physical pain for so long, for 3 months. Couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep for 11 days and popped up again. Wyatt, this is temporary. Okay. Let's start crying about myself. This pain that I'm feeling. You died on the cross. I just have temporary shingles. This is nothing. And that got me by. I'm like, mentally, it erased a lot of things for me.
Thank you for your wisdom and your...
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to go all spiritual and, but that's a big part of my life, though.
If you want to listen back to episodes, there will be some where it goes all over.
Oh, so really?
Don't feel bad. That's why when you said we can talk about this later, it's like, no, expand on it.
Oh, okay. Well,
because this type of stuff, just like when we were talking at your island in your kitchen, and you're like, yeah, like we'll just wing it and go where it goes. Like, that's why this is so important.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone knows you on the real estate side. People know the level of care, the level of business that you're at. But not everyone's going to know the things that maybe they're struggling with that you've went through with your story.
Oh, yeah.
And that stuff is important for people to hear.
Yeah.
So you being authentic and willing to share and passing that wisdom to me and anybody listening, like, that's a big deal. Yeah. And I don't take it lightly. That's why I told you, thank you so much for allowing me to come by. Thank you for caring enough to want to sit down.
Yeah.
Because this is a great moment for me. And that's the most important part, is that me and you were able to share a moment.
Yeah. It's fun to do. It's part of my testimony. And, honestly, part of this is hopefully someday my kids will watch this when I'm gone. So that's because I'm not comfortable in doing a lot of things. I don't like going to stuff. I don't like speaking at stuff. I don't mind it, but it's just, I'm like, okay, this is something. If somebody gets something from this, especially my kids, then this is worth it.
Yeah. I interviewed a real estate agent, and her daughter, it was like 17 or 18, commented on the podcast and said, oh, it's so inspiring to hear my mom's story. She's such a strong woman. And I'm like, if no one else listened to this episode of hers or of yours, but your kids do.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah. See, that's a big part of it. I started, each year I try to take on something new for marketing because I don't want to get complacent. I want to keep moving forward. So this year was, I'm going to do a blog every day. I had no idea what I was setting up for, because it takes a while to do it, but I started doing blogs just on real estate, and I thought, this is kind of boring. No one's going to read this stuff. So then I started doing stories about what's happened to me in real estate. and it went insane. People were like, "Oh my gosh, that story! Thank you for sharing. We just thought you just sold these luxury homes. Everything's easy." I'm like, "No, nothing's easy in real estate."
Well, I mean, seriously, where we started at with this, and you're like, yeah, I didn't want to be in real estate. Then I did open houses every weekend for 3 years, and then I did a $50,000 commission for free, but it came back around, and like, people need to know that people are real people.
I know.
And we said that in the kitchen, like, the coolest thing about the podcast is it doesn't matter if it's from a person that thinks they're this big or someone that maybe has established all these other accolades. They're real humans. And when you treat them with love and respect and just authenticity, it comes back.
Oh, I know. That's it. I see these egos in real estate, and I'm like, I've never understood that. We're selling homes. We're peddling homes. Who cares? The house is cool. Great. I've got a lot of people think I'm a certain person because they don't know me. I've been called a douchebag, a prick, all this stuff. And I'm like, man, that's kind of upsetting, but I could kind of see that. They don't actually know me.
And you kind of don't care.
I really don't, and it's at this age, I really don't. My 40s, I might have, but right now I'm just kind of like, gosh, I don't like that. But I do like when I had a builder tell me, he's like, man, I really thought you were going to be a douchebag. And I was kind of like, well, thank you, I think.
Well, I will say for me, I came in with an open mind because you showed me nothing but love and respect. And when we texted about setting this up, we were intentional. And I was really looking forward to today. And I'm glad.
Thanks for your patience. I know we took a little time, but thank you.
No, it's right on time.
Yeah.
And that's how things happen. So for you to allow me to do this and like the start of a new relationship is really cool for me. And I know I'll get to come back and be in that upstairs room when you get it set up and get to experience the music and sit in that corner and just listen.
Yeah.
I know I said it for the listeners, but from me to you, I really mean like, thank you for your wisdom. That means a lot for you to share.
Well, thank you for doing this. This is a great opportunity and I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. We'll get out of here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.